Today I'm going to show you how to make this triple Cobra weave gunsling. This is a extra heavy duty gunsling that's 2 inches wide and uses 180 feet in total paracord. An excellent option for a survival bug out bag or just for a regular old hunting sling. It's very comfortable and very rugged. It will last you an extremely long time, probably a lifetime. It takes a few hours to make, but the effort is well worth it. You can see I used a bright green over charcoal gray, and this sling just turned out great. I couldn't have been happier with the results. Stay tuned, I'm going to show you how to make your own. To make this sling, you're going to need a few things. The first and probably most important thing is you need 2 swivel sling mounts that fit your rifle or shotgun. My shotgun already has the part that attaches to the gun, so I just have the quick disconnect part that will be permanently attached to the sling. The size you need is 1 inch, and I got Uncle Mike's brand. I know there's some other brands out there. I've had some good luck with this one, so I continue to use them. Then you'll need 200 feet of paracord. You'll need 100 feet of the inside color. Today we're going to be using safety green. And this 100 feet will be cut in half to make 2 50-foot strands. I'll show you how that works in a minute. You'll also need another 100 feet of the exterior color, and this is going to be charcoal gray today. I think this is going to be a really nice combination. You only need about 80 to 90 feet, but it comes in 50-foot increments, so just grab 100 feet and cut it at the end. You won't be short that way. You also need a couple tools. A lighter comes in handy, and a pair of scissors is a must. A highly recommended option that I like to use is a 4-foot 2x4. Standard 2x4 you get at a lumber yard or Lowe's or Home Depot. This just helps keep everything straight, but put a nail in each end that is separated by 43 inches. I like to have 43-inch slings. You can make it whatever length you want, but I like 43-inch slings. So you'll see what the nails are for in a minute. You don't have to do that. It's optional, but I find it helps keep everything neat and straight, and your end product will look better. To get started, I'm going to mount the swivel mounts onto the board. I'm going to put the ends into the nail, and I'll come right back. Once you get your swivels mounted to the board, as shown, one for each end, you need to take your inside color and cut it into 2 50-foot lengths. I like to use one color for both of the inner cores. Once you have 2 50-foot strands of the interior color, fold the first strand in half and loop it through the first end of your sling mount here. This should be the midpoint of the first 50-foot strand. Then you're going to run it down the length of the board in a parallel strand fashion to the other end. And this is where you're going to start your first Cobra weave. Once you have the first 50-foot strand looped through both of the swivel sling mounts, you can start your first Cobra weave. Since the strands are long, make sure you pay attention and don't get tangled up. This is just your basic Cobra weave. At this point, it's probably a good thing to check to make sure that you don't have any tangles or loops, extra overlaps or loops in your double cord strand here. Easier to fix it now than later. So here we are at the end. We basically have one 43-inch long paracord bracelet Cobra weave that has been attached to each of these swivel attachments. I left this end loose for now. We'll tie that in on the final pass when we do our third Cobra weave. So now that we got the first core done, I'm going to do the exact same thing again, and what that'll do is it will give us two cores, just like 2 cores to make the third Cobra weave, just like we needed 2 cores to weave over to make this smaller Cobra weave. One thing I would like to note is there's one loop down here, and we started on this end, which has 2 loops. So I'm going to do the second one reversed. So the one loop on the second core will be down here, and it will have 2 loops up here. So it'll effectively have 3 solid continuous loops through the entire sling, and then we'll have some additional pieces that tie in. Should be a very strong, robust sling when it's all said and done. So I started the second strand. We're well on the way. You can see it's going to be a nice wide sling by the time we get the third Cobra weave over. These 2 weaves will be the core for that top Cobra weave, just like these 2 strands are the core for this Cobra weave. So we're well on the way. Something I do want to point out is I started at opposite ends for the 2 cores. This one here has 2 loops up here because I started here and weaved this direction. This one here only had 1 loop because I started at the other end. But something to keep in mind, otherwise you might end up with the end of your sling that only has 2 loops and the other end has 4 loops. So I like having 3 loops at each end of my sling. It gives a nice, secure, robust sling. We'll finish this core up and we'll be back. So I finished the second Cobra strand. As you can see, it runs the entire length of the 43-inch sling. Now all I need to do is do something with these loose ends. I decided I'm going to just tie them off in a knot, and then we'll weave the third Cobra weave over the top. So I'm going to go ahead and tie these off, and we'll get the third Cobra weave started. Alright, we're all set to do the third Cobra weave core over the 2 inner Cobra weave cores. That's why it's called a triple Cobra weave sling. Just to deal with these loose ends, I just knotted them and cut them off nice and close to the swivel slings on each end. Here, I'll show you the other end. I don't really feel a need to tuck them in. You could do that if you wanted, try and integrate it into the Cobra weave stitch itself. But I find this look just fine. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is the exact same technique that you've been using previously, just on a larger scale. Alright, so I missed a stitch or 2 when I was starting off. I had to redo some stuff. I'm going to go ahead and show you, now that I have it a little more established, how this Cobra weave looks as you go. So again, the top's always zigzagging on top, the bottom's always zigzagging on the bottom. You need to always go over 2 strands, which is what locks everything together, and then under that 1 strand. So there. Okay, so I went ahead and took the nail out of the board just so I could show you how this sling is progressing. I've got the first couple of paracord stitches in using the Cobra weave method. And you see it's going to be a darker sling with some bright green peeking through. It's exactly what I wanted. Again, don't go too tight. You don't want these cores to fold over like that. You want them to stay nice, flat, and level. And be very careful with the extra 50 feet of paracord on each side, 100 feet total. You can get tangled pretty easily. So take your time. They'll shorten up pretty quick since these are relatively big stitches, and you'll have a really nice sling when you're done. Okay, so I finished weaving the third Cobra stitch. I went ahead and snipped and burned these ends to a more manageable length. I probably had 6 to 8 feet on each end, so a 100-foot piece is definitely long enough. If you want to make a longer sling, you have enough to do that. I'm going to go ahead and weave these 2 strands under a couple of these last Cobra stitches and kind of bury this loose end, and then we'll take it off and we'll take a closer look. That's what the end looks like after it's been threaded through, trimmed, and burned. You can see a little piece sticking out there, but it makes a pretty nice finished product. I'm going to go ahead and take this sling off the board. So here's what the final product looks like. Notice that even though we used very bright green for the lower layer, that it doesn't become overwhelmingly bright when it's finished if you use a darker top layer. This can be a good thing if you're just looking for a subtle color to come through and not be the dominant look of the sling. So I wanted to do this video just to show you guys what's possible with this triple Cobra weave technique. It's my favorite way to make a gun sling. I think it's much more comfortable than the narrower double Cobra weave or other styles of paracord slings out there. Is that extra wide paracord sling, and you got 180 feet of paracord in the sling roughly, which makes it an ideal survival sling because it has so much paracord in it that you can do just about anything you would ever need. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe to this video and check out some of the other great videos I have to offer on my YouTube channel.